Hi there. So 100 square, 1 and 2. I'm going to make this video should probably give you an idea of the approach for both lessons. I'll see whether I need a second video or not. So this is the 100 square. As the name suggests, it's the numbers 1 to 100 in a square format. And the idea is that you hand out these 100 squares and they're available for printing at the end of the PowerPoint. You'll find the printing slides. And that students should be given quite a bit of time and encouragement to find patterns, such as no matter where I start, or if I start somewhere in the middle of the square, if I move, if I go to the number below, I add 10. The number above, I've subtracted 10. If I go 1 square to the right, I'm adding 1. 1 square to the left, I'm subtracting 1. Now, I had a conversation with Harvey. The reason he doesn't like the square, or finds it can cause confusion, is because when you say, I go down 1 square, you're adding 10. I go up 1 square, I'm subtracting 10. So possibly think about the language you're using. Notice that Ben is talking about the number underneath being 10 more than the number above, and so on, and moving diagonally. Notice where you're subtracting 9, where you're adding 11. The skill is really to understand that from the same starting point, or from any starting point, the patterns create the same changes. So you're always adding 1 if you move 1 to the right. The number below is always 10 more. The number above is always 10 less, because we move to a point where the number itself becomes the unknown, but we create expressions to describe the numbers around it. So that's the key point, that there are patterns that are consistent throughout the 100 square. Then you're encouraged to write these patterns on the board so that they're formalized, and children can refer to the simplest ones, looking at the diagonals, forwards, backwards, the number above, the number beneath, and so on. So you can write them on the board and illustrate them. It takes some time for the children to really understand what's happening, because it's quite fundamental for them to follow then the lesson. So worked examples, my turn, your turn. When you see slides like this, the left-hand side is for you to illustrate the solution. So my turn, your turn is something that Craig Barton has come up with. You can Google his idea on my turn, your turn, or you can find it in his book, How I Wish I Taught Maths. The idea is that the left-hand side, you encourage the children to watch you in silence while you complete. And then you give them an opportunity to ask questions before they have their turn. So you would fill in the 3 squares, and then they would have a chance to fill in their blanks. You might want to do this on a mini whiteboard so that you can see what the children have done from watching your instruction. Mini whiteboard checks, which are the numbers that go in the shaded areas. Quite self-explanatory. You'll pick up some common misconceptions, some common errors that you can have nice conversations about. And then the task. So they need to fill in the numbers on the blanks. The sheets are available to print. And for those that finish more quickly, they can just create puzzles for their neighbour to complete. Okay, so this is quite a nice support sheet for the children that are struggling to notice the patterns and have had difficulty on the mini whiteboard section. You can hand out this grid. They'll start to fill in the numbers, and I think it would be very uncommon for them to fill in the numbers from left to right, row by row, as in going up in ones. I think they would naturally start to look for the patterns to fill in the grid, and that might help them understand the patterns. Spot the mistakes. And then a brief introduction into where we're going with this, explaining that what if you didn't know the number n, that would just represented your unknown number. What could you say about the number to the left and the number to the right? Here I've added some additional mini whiteboard slides, which I felt were missing. And that is for the children to give you the algebraic expressions. What I find is that when they're left on their own to do this task, where that blue square is there, they simply write add 2. They forget that it's n, add 2. So I think these slides would offer opportunity for very rich discussion about why it can't be just plus 2, it has to be n plus 2. Then some prompts for questions, and then your printing sheets. Okay, sometimes that takes longer than a lesson. There's probably 2 lessons here. But this is the sheet here where you find that hopefully those mini whiteboard tasks have preempted any students just writing subtract 10, add 10, rather than n, subtract 10n, add 10. So that's something to look out for. But these are just the printing sheets, okay? Then there's another task there if you think you need some extra work, or that might be starter possibly for the second lesson. Okay.